Okay, Pyramid Bell is going to do a strength and conditioning internship. And these are the 10 questions that I'm going to be asked. Number 1, tell me about a time when you had to work with a difficult athlete. How was the situation handled? So I am a gymnastics coach back home in Louisiana, and I get kids from ages preschool to high school. I get everything in between, middle school, elementary, all that. So I deal with difficult kids every day. Kids don't want to listen. Kids are acting around. They're kids. They're not going to listen. So you have to kind of work through that by not being, you have to do this now. No. You have to try and make it fun. You have to find different ways of emphasizing something without just being demanding, blah, 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 blah. And then if something's really out of hand, we've had to kick kids out, like if they start biting, blah, 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 that fun stuff. Number 2, describe a time you had to adapt to a sudden and expected change in a training schedule while working with athletes. How did you adjust? Same thing, coach gymnastics. There's rec classes and there's team classes. With rec classes, it's just a bunch of normal kids. And team, you're with them almost every single day. While rec, you see once or twice a week. But there's all sorts of things that could happen. Coach could get sick, whatnot. There could be something, a team is using something you need. Like if you need this mat for something you're trying to teach and someone else is using it, you have to quickly, okay, what is something else I could do, or what's a substitute I could use for the block, and blah, 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 blah. That fun stuff. And sometimes kids either have an accident or they throw up. That is way not on the schedule at all. So you have to try and find another coach, say, hey, can you help me out for a minute while I try and get this done? Get the kids in line, because some kids might think, oh, nasty, and all that fun, awesome stuff. And number 3, what are your strengths and weaknesses as an aspiring strength and conditioning coach? I'd say my strengths are I'm pretty straightforward. When I want something done, I want to see it. I don't want to see any lollygagging. I want to see you working for it. Weaknesses, I'd say I can come off as a little mean sometimes because of how straightforward I am, but I'm not. I need to work on that, and I have been working on that. It's been helping me a lot with working with kids, so I feel like that's something I've improved on a lot. With high school and college kids, I don't have to do it as bad because they kind of give and take it. While kids, if I'm straightforward, they either won't listen to me or they're going to get confused and think I'm being mean and go to their parents and complain. So I can't have that. I got to make it fun in some way, shape, or form. Number 4, what would you say your professors, coaches, or teammates describe your work ethic and coaching ability? Well, I'd say they all say I'm a very hard worker. My professors say I work hard. I'm in there every single day, willing to learn, participating, answering questions, asking questions. Coaches, every coach I've had said I've worked hard, too hard. I'm a little injury prone. They always say I work too hard and get injured all the time. I need to relax sometimes, which is hard for me to do. Teammates, same thing. They might say I'm a little too hard on myself, but they say that's because I work. My work ethic is like extremely high. I will not stop working until I get what I want. And my coaching ability, I'd say they all think I'm a pretty good coach, except for the fact that I'm a little straightforward sometimes, and people get mixed signals about that. But for the most part, they all think I am a great coach, and they think I have a lot of potential in whatever I want to do. Number 5, what would you say makes you stand out from other candidates who are also applying for this internship? I'd say what makes me stand out is that I already have years of coaching experience compared to other kids or students who just figured out they might want to enter this strength and conditioning field. And as being a coach for 4 or 5 years, I've also been a gymnast, an athlete for 13 years. So I know all about the strength and all about anatomy. I've done physical therapy things. I've been through it all regarding the body. And then coaching, same thing. I've worked under a strength and conditioning coach back in high school. I worked under him 2 years. So I feel like I have a ginormous leap ahead of everyone that's just starting. I'm already 3-4 years in. And let's see, 6th question. What do you know about periodization and how would you apply it into an athlete's training program? So periodization is the time it takes before each rep and set, and it can also be how much time you do between each workout. So whenever you're doing periodization for, let's say, in between sets and reps, if you're doing squats, you can't just go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and just do 30 in a row. You're trying to train for an individual thing. So if you're training for strength, you don't want to do 30 reps in a row with low weight. What you need to do is high weight, and it's more like 3 sets of 4. And you go 1, pause, 2, pause, slow and controlled all the way down so you get maximal muscle efficiency. And for days on and days off, you can't go 7 days a week working out at 100% effort. Your body's gonna break down, and that's not gonna be a fun time. So you have to have that periodization where 2 days on, a day off, 2 days on, a day off. Give your body that time to rest. And it varies upon each athlete. Some athletes, they can go 7 days a week. That's just how they've been doing it for years. Even though their body breaks down, they don't like having breaks. But that's whenever you have to force it. Your body needs rest, no matter how much you dislike it. It needs rest. And some athletes may need more, some athletes may need less. You have to find out what they need. Number 7, how would you assess an athlete's movements before starting a strength program? Obviously, you can't throw, if you're in a class of 30 athletes, you can't just throw all of them onto the same program and expect all of them to know the form and the exercises. So you have to provide that basic background, general knowledge of how to do this lift. How much weight should you start? So what I would do to assess an athlete's movements is to go through each one. Say everyone pick, let's say we're going to use a bench press. I'm going to say everyone pick a rack. Let's say in this scenario we have 30 racks. Everyone gets 30 racks. I'm going to go and teach everyone how to do it. I'm going to go one by one. Make sure they're all doing the steps right. Step 1. Back on the bench. Step 2, thumbs on this part of the bar. Step 3, lift up. And we're going to make sure we go through each and every one. Same thing with squatting. Same thing with deadlifting. Same thing with any other exercise that needs to be taught correctly. Because the last thing you want to do is say, go do a deadlift. And they're all doing deadlifts wrong. And the next thing you know, everyone has back problems. So that is something you need to do. There are also tests you could do to assess a potential 1 rep max, which the tests are accurate, but personally I like being able to see you actually lifting the weight rather than just calculating it. And number 8, can you explain the importance of mobility and stability in strength training? So mobility, it's defined as how much your joints can move. So, and stability is how stable, how strong are you in those in those positions. So for example, a squat. If you have a lot of mobility in your knees, you can go all the way down, all the way up. Good. But you don't have any mobility in your ankles. As soon as you start squatting down, your ankles, you got your ankles to knees to hips. It's like a 3-point stance pretty much. If your knees are good, your hips are good, but your ankles aren't, you will not be able to go all the way down, and that will cause problems. You need to make sure you're mobile in your ankles, knees, and hips. And after that mobility is there, that is whenever you can start training the strength, injury prevention to provide that stability. Because, for example, knees. If you have an unstable knee, you can have all the mobility in the world, but if you don't have that strength and injury prevention for you, you're going to end up twisting your knee the wrong way, and there's no stability, and you're going to end up getting injured. And that is not what any athlete should go through. Number 9, if an athlete is not making progress in strength gains, what factors would you evaluate, and how would you adjust their program? After 4 to 6 weeks of an athlete doing the weight and not gaining anything, well, first evaluate if they're sleeping right, eating right, and personally watch to see if they are lifting the correct amount of weight. Because you could have, let's say you're doing a bench press and they need 185 pounds for this amount of reps, and they're putting 155 because they want to cheat. And then you can kind of find out, oh, that's why, because he's just getting weaker and he doesn't want to do the work. So you have to make sure, or maybe he is doing 185 easily and we just need to bump up the numbers to 200, 215, 225. Number 10, what are some key injury prevention strategies you would implement in a strength and conditioning program? Depends on the sport. For gymnastics, for example, there is a lot of upper body movements. Shoulders are one of the main points. Wrists, shoulders, used heavily in gymnastics, way too heavily. So number 1 is rotator cuff, labrum tears. Not fun. So we're going to make sure injury prevention for gymnastics would be very shoulder heavy. Legs are used a lot as well, so definitely won't exclude legs, but shoulders will be a very big part in injury prevention as compared to track, say a sprinter. Don't use your arms too much, so we're going to be doing a lot of hips, quads, hamstrings, knees, shin, calves, ankles, all that kind of stuff, because that's the body part they mainly use. And of course we'll do upper body, thoracic things, but just definitely won't do the same injury prevention I would for a track as I would for a gymnast. So it depends on the sport. And that's all the questions I have. Thank you.